What up, what up? What's going on, guys and girls? Welcome back to another episode. We are officially on episode 3 in our podcast, Perseverance Under Pressure. So, we've talked a little bit more about my past. We've talked about some of the things in the last 2 episodes. And I'm going to bounce around in these episodes because life is not linear. Life is like raindrops happening all around us, okay? And so, in this episode, I want to talk about pressure. That is the name of the podcast, right? Perseverance under pressure. Now, what does that actually mean? Life is going to hit you, and it doesn't care about how you feel. It's a fascinating time in the world, I will say, where we've swung the pendulum so far from work and discipline and things that have to get done, whether I like it or not, to all the way to the other side about, I don't like this. It doesn't make me feel good. I don't like if you call me a boy or call me a girl. I don't like how this person said something. I don't like how their tone of voice is. I don't like what they're implying. The world and life doesn't give a shit how you feel and what you like, right? So the whole concept, and again, it comes from my journey from professional wrestling to entrepreneur to $1 million lawsuit that I went through during the global pandemic, which we will talk about a little bit more in depth, but it's going to bring us into the perseverance aspect. Because life is always going to be pressuring you. You're going to have pressure from your family. You're going to have pressure from your friends. We have that peer pressure, right? You're going to have pressure from the church, if you're Catholic or religious in any context. You're going to have pressure from your job, from your bosses, your colleagues. You're going to have pressure from your relationships, if you're in a relationship or if you're married. You're going to have pressure from your children. If you are married or not married and you have children, you're going to have pressure from yourself. And that sometimes is the worst amount of pressure that you can have, okay? So, perseverance means a continued execution of moving forward. Regardless of the circumstances, regardless of how you feel, you are choosing to move forward. You are choosing to persevere under those pressures. Your other option is to give up. And for me, that's never been an option. I've never said, I'm going to give this up, okay? So persevering, what that looks like is never giving up. That's essentially what it looks like, right? There's a Japanese saying in the Bushido, I believe, for the samurai, is there is no failure as long as you rise. Fall 7 times, rise 8. The only time you will fail is if you refuse to rise again. So, as long as you continue to persevere, that doesn't mean you can't stop for a little bit. That doesn't mean you can't regain your composure. That doesn't mean you don't need to be in stillness for a little bit to, again, gain clarity, observe what actions need to be taken to put you back on the right path to where you're going. Different between stagnation, we talked about in episode 1, stagnation keeps you stuck or feeling stuck, running in a circle. It's a fear-driven opposition to growth. Stillness gives you time to contemplate, to clear your mind, to see the path so that you can continue to persevere. Now, for me, I'll share a quick little story of myself and my journey. So, when I left the wrestling world, and I've got a ton of stories still, but when I've left the wrestling world, I had to find myself. I had to go and figure out who I was. And I needed to do that by going to a silent meditation retreat for 7 days in silence, with myself. And in the first 2 days, my mind rebelled. I need to work out. I need to move. I need to get in the gym. I need to bench press. I need to eat some real food. I'm on this vegetarian diet out here. I need some meat. I need this. I can't sit still. I should be doing something. I'm wasting time. I'm wasting effort. There's so many other things that I have to do. And it became very challenging for me to just be still, because the mind that I have was always trying to do something. I needed to persevere. There's more stuff. But this was what I needed in that moment. I needed the stillness so that I could develop the clarity of the direction that I wanted to go in my 30s. And so when I started to do fascial stretch therapy work, when I started transitioning more from personal training and corrective exercise specialist into the manual therapeutic world, I found fascial stretching. I started diving into the fascia. I started focusing a little bit more on the nervous system. My body, through my own experiences, had been beaten up as a professional wrestler, beaten up in the gym, training like a bodybuilder, sacrificing, which we talked in episode 2, sacrificing certain things to push my body where I needed it to go. Sacrificing maybe sleep, sacrificing other things. Yes, I know sleep is the first most important thing, but when we train and when you grow and you have certain aspects and goals that you're looking for, discipline becomes important. And for me, training was more important than the recovery. And so that's what I was focused on. I sacrificed recovery, and later in life, my body started breaking down on me. And my body was telling me, hey, now it's time to shift gears. Now it's time to walk a different path a little bit. So I went through this fascial stretch therapy course. I took 2 other courses, actually out here in Arizona. And I took that and I ran with it. It was a very hefty price tag. I spent about $5,000 taking each class, between my flights, the hotel stay, the course itself, the car rental, the food, everything else. So I really invested into myself. We'll talk about investments at another point in time. But I really chose to invest in myself because this was a path that I wanted to take. I was interested in the fascia world, in healing, in understanding more on how to help my clients, how to help people move better, how to look at the system from a fascial standpoint versus a muscular standpoint. And anyways, I took this modality. I started working with it in Connecticut. I started going to Iceland. I was working with it in Iceland, working kind of like an immigrant under the table, and sharing this healing modality with Icelanders because they were very aggressive. Vikings, they didn't have any soft, slow therapy. So teaching and educating people more about fascial stretching, fascia work, movement in the body, all of these other things. And in 2019, I started what is now SRT therapy, what is soft stretch release techniques. It's an infusion of a combination of modalities, from fascial stretching to myofascial release to very soft style Thai massage, to energy work and joint activation, muscle activations. So SRT is a nervous system based approach to stretch therapy, working with your nervous system, your fascial systems, and your lymphatic system in a soft, slow, safe, and supported manner. Starting my own company was exciting. It was the next level, the next chapter that I wanted to move into. This is what I wanted to do. I wanted to start teaching more. I wanted to share my culmination and accumulation of knowledge and education that I've worked with for now, today, close to 20, 21 years. So 15 years, maybe back 5, 6 years ago. 7 years, 26, 7 years ago. So I started the company in 2019, and 6 months after that, I was in a lawsuit with the company that I had gone and paid to learn their modalities. And this was my first well, not my first, but this was a major, the biggest, most major lesson in perseverance that I have faced to this day in my life. Hopefully there isn't a bigger one, but that's how life works. We don't know, right? Anyways, my ex-girlfriend, ex-partner at the time and I, we continued, we moved forward into this lawsuit. We heard it was coming, and they were affecting business. They were trying to stop us from teaching. They were accusing us of intellectual property theft and stealing their modalities and their techniques and calling it a different name and all the fun stuff that, ego does. So perseverance looked like, I don't want to go into a lawsuit. I've never been in a lawsuit. We don't have any money because we're just starting to teach. We're barely making anything, if we're making anything, because the cost of doing business is travel expenses and promotions and building the website and everything else. But I've always had that drive, that don't tell me what I can and can't do type of attitude, especially if I know that I can do it and there's nothing legally stopping me other than somebody's ego, right? So we sat with it. We said either we stop teaching or we have to go through this lawsuit and see where this path goes. So we entered the lawsuit. June of 2019, and I've never been in a lawsuit. My ex has never been in a lawsuit. We don't know. We're talking money that we have never seen in our life yet. We can't comprehend it. We can't fathom it. So I'm thinking, okay, it might cost $20,000, $30,000. Which is a lot of money that we didn't have. But no, it did not cost us 20 or 30. I wish it had costed 20 or 30. So we entered the lawsuit. We start moving through the process, and it's cutthroat. It is called scorched earth. They were trying to bleed us because in the system, if you can't afford it, you lose by default. If there's no more money and you can't pay your attorneys, you lose. So if it doesn't go to court because you can't afford it, you lose. Whether you're right or wrong, you lose. And so the motivation was, we can't lose this. We at least have to see this to court if they're not willing to settle with us. We tried to settle 5 times. The ego wouldn't let them do it. So we ended up having to go through this lawsuit. Now, 6 months after the lawsuit, I'm living in Connecticut. She's living in Arizona. The lawsuit's taking place in Arizona. I'm being deposed, having to spend money, fly down to Arizona, pay the attorneys to sit in the deposition, pay for the flight, all of the fun stuff. While we're trying to still teach our courses, and their community thinks that we're a bunch of thieves. Their community can't stand us. Their community is sending us death threats and all of this fun stuff. And so we're trying to build the SRT component in the first year. We're in a lawsuit in the first year. And the world shuts down in the first year. So when I talk about perseverance under pressure, these are things that I've posted about on my Facebook or my Instagram, but I've never shared the full in-depth stories with people. So people will tell me all the time, oh, your life looks amazing. You get to travel. You're doing all these things. I want to be you when I grow up. I want to do what you're doing. I want your life. And I just smile and I shake my head and I say, no, you don't. You don't want to do what I do. You want the results that I have from the things that I've done, the things that I've had to sacrifice, and the obstacles I've had to go through. Nobody wants to go through $1 million lawsuit. Nobody wants to go through a global pandemic when they have to give up their home and essentially become homeless and sleep in their therapy office for 3 months and then move across the country to start your life in Arizona, only to finish the lawsuit 2.5 years later as we crawl our way through COVID, as we crawl our way through all of these obstacles, the depositions, to get to a 5-day trial in court to be awarded no money, but to be awarded, you guys can do you. Go teach, you teach, leave each other alone, pay for your fees, move on. And I knew going into it that was what the end result was going to be. I just had no idea the level of sacrifice and pressure that we would experience going through that. And it gave me insight into how other people perceive things. It gave me insight into how other people interpret your actions, your mindset in comparison to theirs, right? And so we made it through a lawsuit. We made it through the pandemic, which is a whole nother world. You guys understand it. I'm sure you have some crazy stories. I have some crazy stories. Maybe we'll share some of those in other episodes. But I make it through. The weight of a lawsuit and never-ending attorney fees has finally come to an end, okay? The world has started to open back up. We're finally on the tail end of this thing. Those 2.5 years felt like 20. Time stopped. It became stagnant for a lot of people. And we make it through. And I feel this weight lifted. Okay, we owe, I think, $175,000 at that point in time. But now it's stopped. That's the cap. There's no more fees. We've already spent $75,000. We owe another $175,000, but it's not growing. Now we can shrink it. Cool. We're out from under the lawsuit. We won. We're able to teach. Let's push the pedal to the floor. Let's grow this business. Let's share this healing. Let's pay down this debt. Let's get the attorneys and the lawyers their money. Let's get out from under this. Finally, we see the reversal. There's no more adding money. Now we can start paying money and bringing money back into our pockets eventually. 6 months after that, my cat suddenly dropped dead. A month after that, I'm out in Delaware teaching a course. My ex-girlfriend now, ex-partner, calls me up on the night before I'm flying home. Last day of class, we finished class. How'd it go? Fantastic. Oh, I'm riding a high. It feels great. We had 12 people in class. We're fine. Oh, things are looking up. And she says, I'm breaking up with you, and I moved out. And your mind, it can't comprehend something that comes out of left field so fast that rocks your entire foundation, that sweeps your entire life out from underneath you. The stability is gone. You are now standing on floating water and just sinking. And in that moment, I had to sit with it, and I had to understand, okay, I've been here before. Relationships have ended. New relationships have started. Girlfriends have left me. I have left them. I've lost my home. I've lost my friends. I've lost my jobs. I've started from the ground up and closed one chapter, starting another chapter, back at the bottom of the barrel. This became challenging because this was no longer, hey, we're out from these obstacles. This pressure is now lifted from us. Now we can start to grow. It was, hey, we're going to remove this pressure and crush you with this new pressure. And so in that moment, I had to fly back home to Arizona, and she didn't pick me up from the airport. When I got to the house, my client had picked me up. I walked into an empty house, pretty much 90% of the stuff was hers. And it was very cold. It was very empty. It felt sad. It felt depressed. It felt mad. It was angry. All of these emotions tied to it. And I sat with it in stillness, right? This is the part of the process of going through journey and obstacles and struggles and challenging that you get to these understandings of stillness versus stagnation, understanding sacrifice for the goal, for the dream, for the vision. And so I had to sit with it, and I had to realize the universe was testing me once again. It was asking, how much are you willing to give for this dream of building your business? How much sacrifice are you willing to give? What are you willing to surrender? What are you willing to go without so that you can get to this next level? And in that moment, the universe removed my cat. I can't travel the country and bring my cat with me, so my cat was removed. My girlfriend didn't want to do this anymore. She wasn't happy doing it. She wasn't happy with me. She had a lot of her own stuff still that I wasn't aware of. But it became, okay, well, if you're going to choose this path, your partner's not going to be a part of it. Your girlfriend's not going to be a part of it. The house that you have in Arizona, well, we don't need this. If your goal is to get out there and travel more and to teach more and to go to different states and be in different countries, why do you need this? So everything that was stable in my life was removed. And I am here today sharing this story with you. At the end of 2025, these 2 trophies that I was awarded in Las Vegas for being recognized as a global pioneer in holistic movement therapy and a leader in transformative wellness education has come at an extremely high cost in my professional life and in my personal life. The company that I started in 2019, SRT Therapy, Soft Stretch Release Techniques, LLC, from 2019 to 2025, the end where I received these awards, I went through $1 million lawsuit. I went through and endured a 2.5-year global pandemic. I sacrificed and gave up my condo in Connecticut to sleep in my office because I couldn't afford the condo rent anymore, and I didn't want to be a scumbag and stay there. I moved across the country and started a new life in Arizona, rebuilding my private business, being and building my relationship with my girlfriend and my partner, and completing the lawsuit. After that, I lost my girlfriend, my business partner, my cat, my home, everything. And I had to sit with this, and I had to say, man, when is enough enough? But the universe, God, source will always demand more of you and test you because nothing will be handed to you in life. So over the course of 7 years, once I left Arizona in 2022, once I had everything removed from my life, I again started to rebuild this company. The first 3 years, 19, 20, and 21, were a wash. That was survival mode. That was, we are just here to survive and make it to the point where we can start to teach and get out from under this pressure. Now the real pressure was back on me. I spent all of this money, all of this time going into debt. I sacrificed my relationship. I sacrificed my friendships. I sacrificed my health at the time. I sacrificed my mental health at the time to make it through this lawsuit. And now here we go. There's more pressure. Now the pressure, what are you going to do? Now you've got to finish paying off your attorney fees. You owe $75,000. Now you've got to make all of those years of struggle worth it. Now you have to find the value to move and build. Now we're giving you the opportunity to have no ties to anything other than to just grind, just work and hustle and build and network and share this healing across the country. And so for the last 4 years, from 22 till 26, I spent almost 9 months a year living on the road. I have slept in my car countless nights. I have slept on colleagues and friends' air mattresses, on couches. I have slept on my massage table at a massage school so I could save some money as I'm building the classes. I have been able to travel to over 42 states this year, or I guess in 2025. I have taught courses in over 15 states. I have broken into Saskatchewan. This year we're teaching in Alberta. I've been able to teach in Iceland, and I've been able to teach in Sweden. And in 25, I went to Germany, and I was able to introduce SRT and work on a physiotherapist in Germany. Now, all of that looks amazing on the outside. All of that looks, holy crap, your life is wonderful. You get to travel. You're in Germany. You're in Croatia. You're in Canada. I want to be you when I grow up. You want the results that I've had through the sacrifices, the struggles, the obstacles that I've had to go through. That's what you don't want. You want to see the end result, but not the work. Not have to go through that. Not have to sacrifice. So sacrificing, it's been a lot. And 7 years now since inception. It's taken me 7 years. It's taken me $1 million lawsuit, the loss of my girlfriend, my partner, my cat, my home, the loss of stability as I know it, everything to be awarded and recognized as a global pioneer in holistic movement therapy and a leader in transformative wellness. And without that journey, these wouldn't mean nearly as much to me as they do of having that light shine on you after such a long, arduous journey. So, I share this story about perseverance because that has been my life. Whether it was as a wrestler, persevering, you're too small, you need to do drugs, you need to get on steroids, you're never going to make it, get a real job, do something. If perseverance brought me to the dream. It brought me to the WWE. Perseverance in building this company has brought me to all of these avenues, all of these people, all of these places, all of these states, these countries, all of these experiences. Without the perseverance, had I given up, this conversation would never be happening. So that's the point of this podcast, perseverance under pressure. I want to hear your stories. I want to hear some of the obstacles, the pressure that you have faced, and how you overcame it. And I'm going to share more of mine with you as we continue this podcast series. Thank you guys for watching. Hit the subscribe button, click that notification bell, like the video, and I'll see you in episode